These are not like any bears you've ever encountered. One is a master of espionage. The second specializes in exposing secrets. And the third? His sole mission is to set the world ablaze with chaos. Make no mistake, this isn't a game or a bedtime story. These bears are code names for elite, ultra-secret units operating deep within Russian intelligence. Each unit is comprised of the world's most formidable hackers, led by an intelligence team considered the most powerful on the planet. Every attack and every breach is meticulously calculated. It happens in stages. First, espionage. Next, leaking secrets. And finally, unleashing total chaos and paralyzing global systems. Behind every stage lies an integrated network. According to the Times, there is one mastermind behind this entire operation. He is the most dangerous man alive. His cold, stoic features and frozen smile are the ultimate proof. This man can wipe a nation off the map using nothing but soft electronic power. Today, he is known as the godfather of international palaces and the black box of global secrets. That man is Vladimir Putin, the man who, without his shadow, Donald Trump might never have reached the presidency of the United States. The first question we must ask is, who are these hackers? How do they operate? And how can an entire nation protect itself from them? To answer this, we must first understand who these individuals are. Our story begins with a small, simple email. The sender was a woman named Chloe Height, an assistant in the office of a German member of parliament. On May 8, 2015, this assistant was about to open the door to the most dangerous cyber attack in history. While Claudia was at her desk writing an email to her colleague Renee, she noticed something very strange. The letter U, a vital character in their language, wasn't working. She tried everything. She restarted Word, then the entire computer, but nothing changed. The system simply stopped recognizing the character. Thinking it was a virus, she called the Parliament's hotline at 117. She told the officer, "I feel like my device is compromised." But he didn't take her seriously. Claudia insisted, "There is a Trojan in my system. A hacker is moving within the internal network." The catastrophe was that even before she made that call, Russian hackers had already infiltrated the German parliamentary network, advancing step by step. These weren't teenage hackers. They belonged to the GRU, the Russian military intelligence, or as they are known, Putin's fancy bears. They had completely penetrated Germany's most important political institution without anyone noticing. 8 days before Claudia felt their presence, the hackers had performed a comprehensive scan of the network. Dozens of parliament members and staff received a formal email, seemingly from the United Nations, discussing Ukraine's economic situation. This was a highly sensitive time. Only a year had passed since the invasion of Crimea, and political tension was at its peak. Everyone feared the invasion would expand into Europe. Naturally, when an official UN email about Ukraine arrived, everyone clicked. Claudia was one of dozens who opened it. With one click, the Russian hackers were inside the German systems, silently, without warning, and without pop-ups. You just open the email, and your data is gone. The hackers began copying files and building secret tunnels within the system, moving from device to device. Their ultimate goal? The president of the parliament's computer and the prime minister's office. After a few hours, they reached the president's device, which gave them access to every file, every office, and every secret, including the office of Chancellor Angela Merkel. Putin's bears now owned the entire parliamentary network, and the greatest tragedy was that a powerhouse like Germany had no idea. No one knew they were facing the most dangerous breach in modern European history. Meanwhile, something shook the world. Kyiv was suddenly hit by Russian missiles and aircraft in broad daylight. Why did Russia become this bold? This is what you will find out shortly. The hackers cloned the German network exactly as it was. Merkel's emails, her correspondence with world leaders, and top-secret European security files. They took everything and then vanished, erasing their tracks. Only Claudia had noticed the glitch with the letter U. But why did that happen? And what does a missing letter have to do with a global hack? You'll know soon. The breach lasted 2 weeks. Later, a British cybersecurity firm monitoring a suspicious Russian server noticed a direct communication channel opening with the German parliament's network. They immediately alerted the German authorities, However, the Cybersecurity Office in Bonn, BSI, didn't authorize a network scan until 3 days later. By then, the damage was done. The BSI found the situation so dire they had to cut the internet from all government devices. Germany, an entire nation, was offline. The German administration realized they had no choice but to negotiate. Russia already held the files. This explains why, while Russia was bombing Kiev, the strongest country in Europe was forced into a deal. Merkel visited Putin on what seemed like a friendly visit, but after that, everything changed. No one demanded Crimea back. Ukraine was blocked from NATO and denied nuclear energy. Germany was even forced to buy Russian gas exclusively through the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Germany even reverted to using pen and paper for sensitive messages, just like 30 years ago. After Russia achieved its goals, it was revealed that the secret tunnel was on Claudia's device via a program called X-Tunnel. Analysts linked the attack to APT-28, internationally known as Fancy Bear, a cyber unit directly under the GRU. To this day, Russia holds Germany's secrets, which explains Germany's hesitant stance in many Russian conflicts. Germany remained neutral until January 2024, when it discovered that the files Russia used for blackmail were nothing but a mirage. The Great Hack was actually a failure. Now, focus with me. You are about to understand why the operation failed and what really happened to that missing letter on the keyboard. Get ready. After the bears reached Merkel's office, it was time for the most dangerous step, copying her entire email database. You might think it's as simple as Ctrl+A and Ctrl+C, but no, this required a very specific and specialized tool. Each hacker crafted a custom executable file named vsc.exe. Its mission was simple yet deadly: infiltrate Merkel's Outlook, copy every email, compress them, and blast the entire archive to a server in Moscow. Everything was going perfectly until disaster struck. For no apparent reason, the program suddenly stopped. It was searching for a folder named Bureau, the German word for office. But the Russians made a fatal mistake. They typed the letter U without the dots, the umlaut. They failed to realize that in German, U and U are entirely different characters. The program couldn't find the folder, didn't know where to go, and the entire operation stalled because of one tiny German letter. Sensing the danger of being exposed, the hackers scrambled under immense pressure to rewrite the code. They instructed the program to recognize the German U and restarted the tool. The system worked, and a massive archive was sent. However, the crown jewel, Merkel's private correspondence that would have given Russia total leverage, never arrived. By a stroke of divine luck for Germany, the hackers' stress led to a second mistake. In their rush, a hacker forgot to delete his computer's local path. See users Scaramouche. For the first time, the Russian bears left a fingerprint. Scaramouche, a name from Italian theater, became Germany's lead. For 9 years, Russia bluffed, making Germany believe they held all of Merkel's secrets. It wasn't until 2024 that Germany realized the Great Hack was partially a failure. This revelation changed everything. Germany, no longer paralyzed by blackmail, began hitting back, demanding billions in reparations, and openly sending advanced tanks and missiles to Ukraine. The message was clear: you have no leverage left. The two sides reached a silent stalemate, but while the German front cooled down, the American front was a raging inferno. In 2016, while the world was glued to the US elections, the same bears who hit Germany deployed a new weapon against America. This time, it wasn't just about hacking. It was about the lethal drip, a calculated strategy of media leaks designed to dismantle a campaign. According to sources, this was the primary reason Hillary Clinton lost. The rivalry was personal. Vladimir Putin and Hillary Clinton had a long, bitter history, dating back to 2011 when she accused him of rigging Russian elections. Putin never forgot. Between Clinton and Donald Trump, his choice was clear. On March 19, 2016, a security alert from Google landed in the inbox of John Podesta, Clinton's campaign manager. It looked like a routine password reset. Podesta asked his tech expert if the email was real. In a catastrophic typo, the expert meant to type illegitimate, but instead wrote legitimate. That one-letter mistake opened the gates of hell. Podesta clicked the link, entered his credentials, and 50,000 emails vanished in an instant. Fancy Bear was now inside the Democratic National Committee, moving like ghosts. They found gold, internal strategies, embarrassing discussions, and private files. Unbeknownst to them, a second Russian unit, Cozy Bear, was also inside the same servers. The two units didn't even know they were both there, double hacking the same target for different branches of Russian intelligence. By June 2016, the leaks began. A persona named Guccifer 2.0 claimed to be a lone Romanian hacker, a front for the Russian operation. They funneled the data to WikiLeaks, releasing it in a lethal drip, a new batch of scandals every week. The world saw the internal fractures of the Democratic Party and embarrassing unethical deals. Hillary, once the frontrunner, was forced into a corner, while Trump went on the offensive. In one of the most famous moments in political history, Trump stood on stage and uttered the words that went viral globally. "Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the emails that are missing." That single sentence from Trump ignited a media firestorm. His message was clear: Russia, find the files. There are more scandals to uncover. And indeed, on that very same day, the Bears sent 76 new phishing emails to Clinton's campaign staff. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a loud, clear message. We are here, we are listening, and we are working. Hillary Clinton later remarked that it was during the first week of April 2016 that she realized the victory might shift toward Trump. At that moment, the Bears escalated their mission by targeting an even more critical entity, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. These are the people responsible for funding, strategy, and election management. Using an even more sophisticated decoy email, they snared a single staff member. One click, one password, and the doors were ripped off their hinges. The hackers swarmed the system like ants, finding a clear path to the ultimate prize, the Democratic National Committee's central server. They had reached the heart of the global political machine. Secrets, plans, and every communication imaginable were now in their hands. Among the files, they discovered a highly sensitive folder labeled Trump Opposition Research, a complete dossier on Trump's weaknesses, scandals, and outbursts, ready for use. The Bears didn't waste a second. They cloned everything. It was no longer just espionage. It was a full-scale political operation. They hadn't just humiliated Hillary. They now held secret leverage over Trump. If he became president, they would hold the strings. The greatest scandal, however, broke in December 2015, when it was revealed that the FBI had actually contacted the Democratic Party to warn them of Russian activity. The call reached a low-level tech support staffer who failed to grasp the magnitude of the threat and told no one. The FBI tried multiple times, but no one took them seriously. Had the party launched a simple investigation, they would have found Cozy Bear and Fancy Bear living inside their network for months. The Russians had been in the Democrats' house longer than some of their own new employees. The Times suggests this blow destroyed the Democratic Party's foundation, predicting it may never fully recover. As the leaks poured out, Clinton's numbers plummeted while Trump climbed. Public opinion shattered, and social division grew exactly as the Kremlin had planned. The game then expanded further. After Germany and America, all of Europe was next. In 2017, as German and French elections loomed, a site called BT Leaks appeared, referring to the Bundestag. Fearing an American-style collapse, Merkel met Putin again, explicitly warning him not to interfere. Putin, with his trademark stoic face and cold smile, simply replied that Russia had no involvement. While no major leaks against Germany have surfaced since, the true nature of their deal remains a mystery. The silence lasted until 2024, when the name Scaramouche finally led to a face. Dmitry Badin, a 32-year-old man living in the suburbs of Moscow, tall with dark blonde hair, a husband and a father. His official job, an operative within the elite digital unit of the GRU. Immediately, the United States issued an indictment against him. Germany filed espionage charges, and Europe banned him from its entire territory. But was he caught? No. Like the other bears, he remains active, hidden, and dangerous. Russia is the last country to cooperate in such matters. They will never hand over one of their own. Now, remember when the FBI warned the Democratic Party about the breach? You might think the FBI discovered it through their own investigation, but the truth is far more cinematic. It was Dutch intelligence that broke the case. They didn't just hack the Russian servers, they hacked the building itself. They infiltrated the security cameras inside the hackers' headquarters. While we are busy with social media, intelligence agencies are grinding each other down in a shadow war. The Dutch were watching the Russian hackers with their own eyes as they worked. They saw Cozy Bear inside the American Democratic Party's systems and alerted the Americans. But as we know, that warning sat unread on the desk of a low-level IT staffer, allowing the bear to roam the network for an entire year. Experts later confirmed that while Russian interference wasn't the only factor in the election, it was a decisive one. It led to Hillary's loss and Trump's victory. Russia had executed the most successful hack-and-leak operation in history, not just stealing data, but weaponizing it to manipulate public opinion and spark chaos. But the game of shadows always has a countermove. Russia knew the Dutch had compromised their building, and they couldn't let that humiliation slide. On April 10, 2018, a civilian flight from Moscow landed at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. 4 men stepped off: Alexei Minin, Evgeny Serebryakov, Oleg Sotnikov, and Alexei Morinets. They looked like ordinary businessmen, but they were a GRU special operations team on a secret mission. Their target? The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW. The organization was investigating the poisoning of Sergei Skripal in the UK with a Russian nerve agent. The Russians intended to sabotage the evidence and discredit the organization. It was supposed to be a retaliatory strike to humiliate Dutch intelligence. But the Dutch were ready. They tracked the 4 men from the moment they left the airport. Serebryakov and Minin acted as scouts, while the other 2 were the technical specialists. After meeting a Russian embassy official, they rented a small car and immediately bought a high-powered 12-volt battery, the fuel for their field hacking gear. The next day, Minin scouted the OPCW headquarters, the world's leading authority on chemical weapons. He arrived just as the organization was finalizing its report on the Skripal poisoning, which proved the toxin used was the Russian-made Novichok. Minin circled the building, photographing entrances and parking lots. On April 13, 2018, the team moved in. They didn't know they were being shadowed step by step by Dutch military intelligence. At the exact moment the Dutch government was preparing to release the report incriminating Russia, the 4 operatives were sitting in a car parked at the Marriott Hotel next to the OPCW. The car looked ordinary, but the trunk was a high-tech war room, a 12-volt battery, a voltage regulator, laptops, and the most critical piece, a specialized Wi-Fi antenna. This antenna was designed to spoof the OPCW's network. Once employees connected to the fake signal, the Russians would intercept every password and gain total access to the internal network to manipulate the investigation. But the British had tipped off the Dutch. As the Russians powered up their gear, 2 unmarked cars screeched into the parking lot. Agents swarmed the vehicle, shouting for the Russians to surrender. Serebryakov tried to stomp on his phone to destroy it, but he was too late. Within seconds, they were pinned to the ground. A simultaneous raid on their hotel rooms uncovered a plastic bag containing evidence that would lead to a global scandal. But the most critical piece of evidence they found was a simple taxi receipt from Moscow. It tracked a journey from the GRU headquarters directly to the airport, official proof that their mission began at the heart of Russian intelligence. The seized equipment was an intelligence goldmine: laptops that were first powered on inside the GRU building and devices containing traces of global hacks. They even found travel tickets to Bern, Switzerland, proving the team intended to carry out a similar operation there. For the first time, a Russian operation failed before it even began. 5 months later, the Dutch held a global press conference that shocked the world, displaying photos of the hackers, their flat antennas, the 12-volt batteries, and that incriminating taxi receipt. The world finally saw the faces of the bears. The seized data revealed another scandal. The team had been in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, attempting to hack the Malaysian police while they were investigating the MH17 plane crash. It was a global tour of cyber sabotage, from Switzerland to Malaysia to the Netherlands, all missions designed to cover up Russian crimes. The world learned that hackers aren't always just people behind screens. Sometimes they have to be on the ground close to the target. While the 4 operatives were eventually deported to Moscow to avoid a global diplomatic crisis, The threat didn't end there. On February 24, 2022, at 4 a.m., a hacker from the Voodoo Bear unit executed a massive technological strike. In one move, he cut off internet access for half of Europe, including satellite connections. Within minutes, 3,000 modems were fried, 5,800 wind turbines in Germany were paralyzed, and entire villages in Sweden went offline. The Ukrainian army was suddenly without internet, and at that exact moment, the Russian invasion began. Ukrainian military servers became scrap metal. The update wiped login files, settings, and digital identities. No missiles, no aircraft, no defense. Everything turned to junk. Within 6 hours, the power grid collapsed, and every vital sector in Ukraine, banks, hospitals, transport, and even translation apps, stopped working. A 2024 CIA report revealed that 86 international digital intelligence agencies worked together to counter these Russian attacks. It was the first global digital war. After 18 hours of intense combat, international intelligence managed to repel the attack and regain control, thwarting the Russian plan to paralyze Ukraine for 2 weeks. The world has changed more than you can imagine. Today, the strongest army isn't the one with the most tanks or the fastest jets. True power belongs to those who hack faster, control longer, and hold the most secrets to use as blackmail. Since 2011, Russian attacks have redefined national security. Every government file, every company, and every ministry is now a target. The most terrifying part is that you or I could be compromised for a year without ever knowing it. We've seen this in our own region, how the Netanyahu entity had infiltrated networks in Lebanon and the surrounding area since 2006, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, as seen in the pager attacks and the rise of electronic flies. Be vigilant. Treat your data as part of your identity. Do not open suspicious links. Do not join personality analysis profiles, and do not trust links claiming you look like a celebrity or will become a millionaire. Today, a single phone call, an image, or an email can be the gateway to your life. This war began years ago. Imagine where the technology is today. That was our story for today. If you found this intriguing and want to dive deeper into global scandals, I highly recommend watching our video on Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks. The parallels between these stories are deeper than you think.